Hi, it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have for us to do this really cute flower kerchief. This makes a great springtime, summertime accessory, hair accessory, on those days when you just don't want to put your hair up in a ponytail or you just don't have time to, do up a really nice hairdo. You can just put your hair up in this kerchief and get it up out of the way, and it looks really super cute too. It looks a really great retro look or boho look. So it looks super cute. So this kerchief measures from ear to ear about 17 inches and from front to back about 9 inches. Then you have about 13 inches on each of the ties. So it's a generous size, so it should fit most people. If you do need a slightly larger kerchief, you can always go up a hook size, or you can also add a few extra rows on the edging here to give you a little bit more width and length. So I have a couple of examples to show you. I made them in a few different colors just to give you an idea of what you could do with this kerchief. This is one with the yellow flowers and a green kerchief. Now you could also change colors on your kerchief as well to give it a little extra boost. I did mine in solid colors, but you could also change colors as well. So then I did a blue one with white flowers and a white one with purple flowers. And then this one's I like this one really a lot because this is an orange one with this Aran Fleck yarn, and I just thought this came out super, super cute. So let me drop down the camera and I'll talk about the yarn I used, the amounts that you'll need, and hook size, and what your gauge is to make sure that you're getting the correct size kerchief. The yarn I used for the kerchief is Red Heart Super Saver. Now you don't have to use Red Heart Super Saver. You can use any medium 4 100% acrylic yarn. The colors that I used 3 colors for each of my kerchiefs. You can use more than 3 colors, but I would suggest using at least 3 colors. So for today, I used baby pink, medium purple, and then I used this brown, which is some leftover brown. I really don't know the name, specific color name for it, that I had left over. You're going to want a total of about 80 yards altogether to make your kerchief. Obviously you're only going to use a little bit of the brown, and the bulk of it is going to be whatever your main color is. The size hook that I used is a G 4.0 millimeter hook. Today I'm going to be using my Clover & More hook. Your gauge for this pattern is 8 double crochets for 2 inches and 4 double crochet rows for 2 inches. All of this information is also going to be in the description box below, so if you don't catch it all, don't worry about it. Just open up that description box below and all of this information will be put in there. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and you might want to have some stitch markers on hand just in case you need them. So once you have all your supplies, let's get started. Before we jump into today's tutorial, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that little icon down in the corner. That'll automatically subscribe you to my channel. And don't forget to ring that bell because that'll notify you whenever I upload a new video. And if you like content like this, please give me a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you like my videos. It also helps me gauge what types of videos you like to see on my channel. So to start our kerchief, we're going to start with our center color, our center flower color, which in my case is going to be brown. And I'm going to start with a slip knot on our hook and a chain of 4. Now we're going to be working that first center square. That's this one right here. We're going to be starting with this center of our flower. After we get this part done, this center square, we're going to then work on these 2 half squares. We're going to sew the squares together and then work on this border right here. So let's continue. So we're going to start with our chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and let's get that camera dropped down a little bit so you can see a little better. Now you can use a magic ring in this situation if you'd like to, but I prefer to use this method. I just think you get a little bit better, cleaner circle this way, but it's really up to you. So we're going to do all of our first round into that very first stitch. The skip chains are going to count as your first double crochet. So put 11 double crochets all into that very first stitch, or that very first chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Now once you have your 11 double crochets, we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain. Now if you're not sure where the top of the chain is, just count back your stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 is going to be that top of the turning chain. And we're going to go ahead and fasten off. Now you don't need to leave a long tail, just a short tail, just enough to weave in. And now we're going to be done with our brown, or our center color, for a little bit. And let's bring out our color, our petal color. In this case I'm going to use this pale pink as my petal color. So we're going to insert our hook into any one of the stitches. I'm going to use the first stitch, but it doesn't really matter what stitch you insert it into. And pull up the petal color and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now our first petal is going to be worked a little bit differently than the remaining 11 petals. So yarn over twice, insert back into the same stitch that the chain is coming out of, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice again, go back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, and pull through the remaining 3 loops on the hook. And that is your first petal. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to do our second petal into the next stitch. This one's going to be worked a little bit different than this first one because we don't need to start off with a chain. So we're going to yarn over twice, insert into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. We're going to repeat that 2 more times. So yarn over twice, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice, insert back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Chain 3, and we're ready to start our next petal. Again, yarn over twice, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over twice, go back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over twice, go back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 4 loops. And we're going to chain 3, and we're ready to go and make our 4th petal. So you're going to continue making petals all the way around, and you should have 12 petals. Your last petal, you're going to do your chain 3, and you're going to slip stitch to that very first petal, but you're going to go to the top of the petal. So you're going to skip the chain 3 and go into the next stitch to slip stitch. I'll meet back up with you once I have all of my petals completed. Okay, we're at the end of round 2. We have our petals all done, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first petal. So here's our chain 4, our original chain 4. So we're going to skip this chain 4, and we're going to slip stitch right here to this first, to the top of the petal. And then go ahead and fasten off. Again, you don't need to leave a really super long tail, just long enough to be able to weave it in. So before we go on to working the actual square part, we're going to go ahead and get all of these ends woven in. So go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back up and we'll start working the actual square part. So now here's our flower all completed. With our right side facing, we're going to be adding our bandana color. So I'm going to start with a slip knot on the hook, and in any one of the chain spaces we're going to go ahead and add our bandana color. I'm going to add it with a slip stitch. Then chain 3. That chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. And work 2 more double crochets into that same space. Let's give us a little more space here. Chain 1, and we're going to add in the next chain space here, we're going to work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 1. Now this next chain space, we're going to be working our corner, one of our corners. So we're going to yarn over twice, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So that's a treble crochet. We're going to do that 2 more times. This gives it a little more height to change the circle into a square. And since we're working a corner, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to repeat these 3 treble crochets right back into that same chain space. That's 1, 2, and 3. So now we have just created our first corner. Fix my yarn there. Chain 1, and we're going to do another side. So that's 3 double crochets into the next chain space. Chain 1, and 3 double crochets into the next chain space. Chain 1. Now we're going to ready to do another corner. So again, we're going to do 3 treble crochets. It's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and 3 more treble crochets. chain 1. And that completes our second corner. So we're going to repeat that back around, so it's going to be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet, chain 1. Then it'll be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet, chain 1, and then you can slip stitch to the top of the starting chain 3. So I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. So I made it all the way back around, and we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. That's starting chain 3. And we're going to go ahead and fasten off. And you can stick your fingers in those 4 corners and just give it a little tug to give your granny square a shape. Now go ahead and weave in your ends, and you can set this aside, and we will start on the half square, the half flower square, so this one right here. So we're going to make 2 of these and then sew the squares together. So we'll be right back to start working on this half square. Okay, now we're going to be ready to work on our half square. We're going to start in the center, just like we did with the full square, the petals, and then the edge. So let's get out our center square or our center flower color, which in this case is going to be brown, and let's get started. So again, we're going to start the same way we did before with a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This time we're going to work 7 double crochets into that first chain. Again, you can do a magic ring if you choose, but I like to do it this way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. Now that starting chain 3 is going to count as a stitch. This time we are not going to slip stitch. We're just going to go ahead and fasten off. Don't need to leave a super long tail, just long enough so that it can be, you can weave it in. We're going to go ahead and get our petal color. We need to turn this right side up. We're still working on the right side of the work, so don't turn it. Just, you're fastened off like this, just spin it around so you're still on the right side of the work. Grab your petal color, and you're going to go into the top of that chain 3, and if you're not sure where that is, just count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, because that top of that chain 3 counts. So it might be a little hard to get into, but you can do it. And pull up a loop, and we're going to do a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not going to be a petal. This is just going to be where we're going to work our stitches for the front border that goes across the front of the work. So it's going to be where these stitches are going to go, right in here. So actually that's the back side of it. So it's going to go where these are. So let's bring that camera down just a tad. There we go. So we're going to work our first petal right into that first stitch, and it's going to be a regular petal, not that starting petal. So we're going to yarn over twice, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice, go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to go ahead and do that one more time because we're going to work a full petal. That yarn split there. And we're going to go through all 4. So with this chain out here is going to be where we're going to end up working our single crochets when we're finishing the bandana, which you'll see that when we get to that part. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put another petal in. So this time we should have a total of 6 petals. One, 2, 3. So continue working your petals till you have 6. You should have 1 stitch remaining. This stitch right here on the end. This one right here should be unworked. I'll meet back up with you when you have your 6 petals, and I'll show you what to do with that last stitch. Okay, I'm just finished working my 6th petal. Once you're finished on that petal, do not work a chain 3. We're going to only do a chain 1, and then we're going to work 1 treble crochet into that last stitch. Just like that. And we're going to go ahead and fasten off. Again, you don't need to leave a super long tail, but just long enough to weave in. And that is your half flower. So we're going to go ahead and weave our tails in, and then we're going to work on the bandana color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, we got all our ends woven in, and we're ready to start the bandana color. We're going to go in this first chain space right here. I'm going to attach our yarn with a slip stitch. We're going to chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to put a half corner in there. So we're going to go ahead with 3 treble crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. And chain 1. And the next chain space is going to be 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and 2, and the next chain space also 3 double crochets. Chain 1, and then we're going to put a corner in the top in the next chain space. So that's going to be 3 treble crochets, chain 2, 3 treble crochets. Chain 2. And then we just got to put 3 more treble crochets in there to complete the corner. And chain 1, and then we're going to go down the side, and that is 3 double crochets in that next chain space. chain 1 and 3 double crochets in the next chain space. Chain 1, and we're in that last chain space. We're going to do the same thing we did in the first chain space. So we're going to put 3 treble crochets for the half corner, and then chain 1 and 1 more treble crochet in there. And then we can go ahead and fasten off. And again, you don't need to leave too long of a tail because it's going to get, we're going to weave those tails in. And that is your corner, your half corner, or your half square. So it'll be more like, here's your corner. So you want to make 1 more of these. So back up the video and repeat this 1 more time. And then once you have 2 half corners or 2 half squares and your full square, come on back and we'll sew them together, and then we'll go on and complete our bandana. Alright, now that we have our 2 half squares and our full square done, we need to sew them together. So how I do that is I just take a couple of lengths of yarn and just snip it off the same color as the bandana color. And how I like to do that is I just put a little slip knot at one end and thread it up on the other. And this is how I start. So we're going to go corner to corner. We're going to put our right sides together. We're going to end up sewing them along this end right here. So we're going to do one at a time. And we're going to match them up. There's that knot, so I'm going to turn it. I'm going to turn that. So this is where I had fastened off, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that because it's a lot easier when sewing it to not have to match where that is. Okay. So how I do it is I use just the back, the front loop here, and the back loop on this one. And that gives us that nice little, that'll give you this nice little ridge on the front side of your work, on the right side of your work. So I'm going to go into one of the chains, that first chain in the corner, and the first chain on that corner, and that's going to be where I'm going to start sewing. Now you can sew yours together however you choose. I use a whip stitch, and I'm going to actually trap this tail under that, or you can weave it in afterwards. Then I'm going to go to the next stitch, go under that front loop of that stitch and the back loop on the other one, and just kind of whip stitch these together. Normally I would trap that underneath, but just so that you can see the stitches, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go just like that. And under the next one. Make sure that they're lining up. That tail keeps getting in the way. So now we have the next 3 sets of double crochets. I'm going to go all the way down to that last set of 3 double crochets, and then we'll pick up the next one. So when you put it on there, then you're going to pick up your next the other one, and you're going to continue sewing. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I will meet back up with you once I get these sewn on. Okay, I've got my squares are sewn together, and you can see they got this nice little pretty ridge there. It looks very decorative. So now we're ready to finish the edging on our bandana. So we got the right side facing. We're going to turn it upside down so the point is away from us, and we're going to start in the first chain space right here. So we're going to put our hook in and attach our yarn with a slip stitch. So in this first space, chain up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into that space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and in the next chain spaces going all the way up to the corner, it's going to be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 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 all the way up to the point. So just like you were working a granny square, you're just going to do 3 double crochet, chain 1, all the way to the point. Now when you get to the point, you're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into the point. So that maintains that triangle shape. Just like that. And chain 1, and you're going to continue at 3 double crochet, chain 1 in each of the chain spaces till you get to the last chain space. So just like you did on the other side, just continue working 3 double crochet, chain 1 in each of the chain spaces. And in the very last chain space, you're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 1, and a treble crochet. And that ends row 1 of our border. You're going to do that for row 2, 3, and 4 are going to be the exact same thing. We're just going to keep turning the rows. So you're going to chain up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn the work, and in the very first chain space, put 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then continue with 3 double crochets, chain 1, and go in 3 double crochets into the next chain space. Chain 1, all the way till you get to the point again, and in the point you do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, till you come all the way to the last chain space, and in the last chain space it's 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet. And you're going to, this is starting row 2, you're going to repeat that for row 3 and row 4, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 4. We're at the end of row 4. We are ready to start the scalloped edge, so you're going to chain 1 and turn the work. So now the right side should be facing. Go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch, and we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, so the 1, 2, and into the next stitch should be in the middle of the first 3 double crochets. So you're going to go 1, 2, and you're going to be into that middle of that 3 double crochet, so that center one right there, and you're going to put 3 double crochets into that. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into that next chain space right there. Let's put the camera down a little. So slip stitch into the next chain space, skip the next stitch, and into the center stitch of the next 3 double crochet, you're going to put 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch into the next chain space, skip the next stitch, and in that next stitch, which is in the center of the next 3 double crochet, put 3 double crochet. And slip stitch into the next chain space. So continue that pattern all the way around the bandana till you get to the end over here, and I'll meet back up with you in that last set of 3 double crochet. Reach the last 3 double crochet cluster, and what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain on the end there. So we're just going to go ahead and put a slip stitch somewhere in the top of that chain. It doesn't matter exactly where, just somewhere on the top of that chain. Just like that. Now we're going to start our first tie, so we're going to chain up 51. So keep chaining until you get to 51 chains. Now that we got the 51 chains, we're going to go second chain from hook, and we're going to single crochet. Now I like to flip my chain over and work in these back bumps. You don't have to do that, but that's what I like to do. I think it gives you a more finished look to your tie. So let me just get this in this back bump here, just like that. And we're going to put 1 single crochet into each one of these chains. should have 51 single crochet by the time you reach back to your bandana. I will meet back up with you when we get back down to the bandana, because we're going to work across the front of the bandana to the other side and then work the tie on the other side of the bandana. We made it all the way back to the bandana, and we're going to work single crochet across the front of the bandana. So let me just pull my hook out here. So in each one of these chain spaces across the front of the bandana, you're going to put 3 single crochets. Up until you hit the flower, put 3 single crochets on either side. In the center of the flower, put 1. And then as you're working, you're going to put 3 single crochets in either one of these 2 chain spaces. In the very center of the bandana, so in this large gap here, which is the corner of the square, you're going to put 3 double crochets. So 3 singles here, 3 doubles, and then 3 singles. And then you're going to continue working singles in each of the chain spaces, putting 1 single crochet in the center of the flower. And again, each of these chain spaces here, you're going to be putting 3 single crochets all the way to the end. And then I'll meet back up with you at the end right here. So let's get started. So we're going to keep working our single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm at the end of the row, and we're going to start the second tie. So we're going to go ahead and chain 51. When we get to 51, we're going to go second chain from hook, and we're going to single crochet our way back to the bandana. Just like with the second tie, the first tie, we're going to flip our chain over, go second chain from hook, single crochet, and single crochet all the way back down to the bandana. Careful not to split your yarn like I just did. I'll meet back up with you when I'm all the way down to the bandana. So I'm all the way back down to the bandana, and we're just going to slip stitch right to the base of the bandana and fasten off. So we just need to weave in ends, any loose ends that we have, which is just this one. And we'll be all done. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Here's the finished bandana, and we have our little ties. And if you wanted to, you can give it a little bit of a light blocking if you wanted to get it a little bit straighter. But thanks for watching, and happy crocheting! Bye-bye!